What's going on, guys? Rabin here, and this is actually going to be my very first video. I've been looking to do a series on gaming, a gaming channel for quite a while now, and I figure, what the heck? Let's just get started. In the background, you hear some Beethoven. I don't really listen to classical music that often at all for pleasure, but it seems very fitting to have some classical music on for Victoria 2. And I've gotten sort of numb to the Victoria 2 music, so hopefully this is a nice, um, refreshing, some nice refreshing music for a change if you guys have played Victoria 2. Now I'm going to be playing with a mod, and that mod is called the Historical Project mod. And basically, what it does is it drastically, in my opinion, improves the base game and doesn't really add, crazy, game breaking, game changing features. It sort of just adds on to the base game, like sort of a patch. It adds a lot of new nations, a lot of new flags, a lot of new decisions and events. And personally, for me, I think it improves the base game quite a bit. And it also makes it harder. Definitely a lot harder because income taxes, it's all very hard to come by in this mod, and you'll see what I mean in a second when we get in. So, who are we going to be playing? What nation are we going to choose? Russia? No, 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 no. We're not going to be in Europe. We're not going to be one of these lousy great powers over here. We're going to be not even a secondary power. We're going to be Colombia. And the reason why I want to choose Colombia is because I actually recently just finished the first season of Narcos. Okay, I'll stop with these over-exaggerated Spanish accents, but I watched Narcos, and it just got me really interested in Colombia and Colombian history. So I thought I should just play a game as Colombia. And if you see right here, there's a Colombia game right here. Also, I did an Australia game just by myself, just sort of playing around. And well, what happened is Windows 10 actually just decided, I hadn't updated to Windows 10, and it decided, okay, you haven't updated? Well, now's the time. So here you go. Let's just update right now. And it did. It did definitely update. And it actually ruined that recording that was going perfectly fine. So thank you, Windows 10, for that spectacular moment. So let's hop right into Colombia for the second time for me, but for the very first time for you. And hopefully this one turns out better. So we're just going to adapt some history, the huge, and we're in. So if you look, we've got 3 infantry and a cuirassier. I don't know how you say that. Okay, that looks like French. All right, this music is getting a little intense. Let's go a bit lower on the volume. It's getting a little too crazy. Hopefully you guys didn't notice that Alt tab right there. Took a minute to get back in. That's a bit odd. Maybe that's Windows 10. Messing around with settings and whatnot. Ugh, Windows 10. I wish it never updated. Um, so we're going to encourage bureaucrats. Now, I always get in this little debate with myself on whether or not I should encourage intellectuals, which are known as clergymen, in the base game, or bureaucrats, because, intellectuals, obviously, you're going to get more research points, along with more education, which in turn affects research points. And also, it affects the ability to promote to certain pops, like capitalists take 20% education, and I think clerks take 50% in this mod. It's probably different in the base game. I should also note, I do not play the base game. I have not played the base game in probably about a year and a half, basically just like a month after I got the game. So I have rarely played the base game, and really, mods are my saving grace because they make the game way more exciting if you can really get super exciting in a game like this. So money, like I said, like I've been saying, it's very hard to come by. So we're gonna lower our funding for our military, and this funding is not actually it does not affect the ability for pops to promote to soldiers. It just affects organization, which if you're fighting, you're going to want it to be at 100%. Otherwise, you're going to get stack wiped, and that's not fun. We're also going to lower education and administration. Actually, no, administration is going to stay up, but education just for the time being is. No, no, no. We'll keep it funded at 50%, but we're going to be tight on money for a little bit of time. The first thing we're going to want to do is check and see what sort of alliances we might be able to procure here. Uh, Also, oh, I forgot to mention the main goal. So Colombia, what can we do as Colombia? What are the cool events and decisions we can do? Well, there is one main event. It is form Gran Colombia. There's also claim Gran Colombia, but I don't really understand the point of this one. I don't know if this is in the base game. I don't think you can form Gran Colombia in the base game, but you might be able to. Um, so this event, the requirements are be a great power and have nationalism and imperialism as well as a war policy. I don't see the ability or the reason to do this event because it's going to be very hard to become a great power before forming Gran Colombia and having more pops, more industry, and more military, more prestige. Like, we're not going to click this button. What we are going to click, though, is form. Well, hopefully we'll click it. Form Gran Colombia. And that does not take the great power uh, requirement. It only takes 50 prestige and nationalism and imperialism. So we're pretty much going to click this event in the 1860s if all goes to plan, and hopefully it will. The things that we need to form Gran Colombia. Well, Gran Colombia, let's start. Gran Colombia, let me just explain this. So Gran Colombia is, well, Greater Colombia, I believe, would be the translation of it. It's Spanish, and basically this guy named Simón Bolívar in the 1800s, early 1800s, he led the independence movement against the Spanish Empire, and obviously he succeeded, but he also in the process conquered many South American lands, such as Venezuela, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, all the way down to Bolivia, and that's his namesake, of course. Bolivia is named after him. So, pretty impressive guy. He did not hold on to it, or at least his um, predecessor, the people after him didn't either. And Gran Colombia, of course, never formed again. Colombia also owns Panama, so hopefully we can hold on to Panama. Hopefully we can make the Panama Canal for ourselves, because that rakes in a lot of cash. The first technology we are going to go with, that is going to be the stock exchange. That gives us 5% tax efficiency. We're just going to get more money. I do really want to get medicine and these techs because they are very, very, very important. Especially medicine because it gives you more pop growth, which is awesome, but it also uh, it gets rid of a lot of terrible, terrible events that can affect your nation, such as just bad pop growth events, like diseases and whatnot that can ruin your population that hopefully we don't get before we can get medicine. So, yeah, we're going to go with the stock exchange because we just need more money. And you're going to see what I mean because we're going to be tight on money for a long time. Plus, this is pretty much the strategy when you're playing Victoria 2. But you want to get idealism and all these texts right here. This is priority because this affects research points and how many you get. So anytime these texts are available, you want them. So by 1840, you can save research points for up to 1 year. We're going to want to start researching this tech as soon as 1840 hits, and so because of that, we're pretty much only going to have the opportunity to research one tech, and this actually right now ends on 13th of September, so it goes ahead of 1840. You can see how bad our research points is just by looking at that. We are not getting that many. Normally, a great power, secondary power, westernized nation would be able to research this before 1840, so we're pretty behind in that regard. Now, Are we? We're not funding our people. We're not going to build anything yet. Not yet, because we're going to be losing money pretty rapidly in a second. I also did not check if we could get any alliances. Well, I did want Brazil. I really do want Brazil because they are the strongest nation in this continent right now. And it would be great to have them on our side. So, oh, I also did not mention Venezuela and Ecuador. That's what we need to form Gran Colombia. We don't actually need to own all of their land. That would take a lot of infamy. We just need to have them in our sphere of influence or puppet them. So, pretty easy to do as long as they don't get some crazy alliances going. So, we are going to actually start the game right now. Yeah, there's nothing else I need to do in the start of the game. Oh, Crisis. Okay, so this is an event in this mod, historical project mod once again. Basically, it says you can either keep crises locked until 1870, or you can keep them unlocked like in vanilla. And personally, it feels like the mod creator intended for this to be not really a decision, but because it's already in vanilla, it's a big part of the game. He left it as a choice for the player. I think it makes a lot of sense personally. You know, it says Crisis for the Freedom of Ireland in 1840 doesn't really make sense. You know, crises before 1870 are sort of weird because great powers being, you know, caring about problems like Sudanese independence from Egypt is sort of odd. Uh, they wouldn't really care about that probably, except in certain cases, which somebody could probably cite. But yeah, I think it makes sense. So we're gonna click this button, keep them locked until 1870, so you won't see any crises until 1870. Okay, so we're going on speed 4, and as you can see, already losing money. Now, if this was vanilla, I'm pretty sure we would just be making tons of money right now. At 50%, 50%, military spending 50%, no tariffs, we would probably be making money right now, but we aren't. And I don't exactly know, excuse me, I don't exactly know what the mod creator did to make it harder, but it certainly, if you're looking for a challenge and you've only played vanilla, this mod is certainly harder than the base game. So this is definitely a good choice if you've gotten bored of vanilla and, you know, can easily become a great power through certain means. Also, I should note, it nerfs one very big thing that many players can attest to that they've done. First off, there are a lot of nations in Africa, and you can't really take Sokoto that easily, I don't think. You incur a lot of infamy doing so. But a big thing is China. A lot of players you'll see, you know, they're playing Belgium, any nation really, they go to China pretty much immediately or as soon as possible, take a huge state, northern, southern, whatever, and get a ton of pops that, you know, the taxes they get fund their military, and they just are able to field an absurdly large military that doesn't really make a lot of historical sense. So this mod nerfs that by basically giving you a ton. I think it gives you an insane amount of infamy if you take a state from China, you know, like 25, 20, something like that. On top of the infamy, it gives you like 15 infamy on top of the 10 infamy you would get if you take the state, but there's another choice you can do, which makes a lot more sense, which basically gives you the option to have an area like Macau or Hong Kong or Shanghai. So there's another one, Qingdao maybe. Take one of those states and a lot of money and prestige rather than taking a huge state. So it nerfs that aspect, which I like a lot because it doesn't really make a lot of historical sense. Russia like taking land right here is sort of odd. Stuff like that. It nerfs those things. I like that a lot. So let's just keep going. We're losing money, but we get a very, very nice event that happens in, I don't know, like a few months. Actually, maybe like it should happen now. I don't know, but it's gonna make us get a lot more money so we can actually field a military. All right, let's look around. Ecuador, no alliance. Venezuela is allied to the FRCA. Um, Pretty crappy alliance. FRCA. What is that, like the feder? It's like the Federation. I don't know what the R stands for. Okay, it stands for Central America. That's Central America. That's Federation. It's probably in Spanish too, so I'm a bit off. But yeah, this nation's not even gonna last a long time anyways, so it doesn't even really matter. Sorry if you are from the FRCA. I don't think any of you are because that nation died like 170 years ago. But it already has rebels. Um, Nicaragua just got free, so they don't have the military to fight off these rebels. They're gonna lose everything and pretty much create the Central America you would see today. Colombian schools. Assimilation efforts in Central American areas and territories are progressing slower than they should reasonably have to. And one of the reasons is that Central American children are still educated in their native tongue. Oh, that's a no-no. They can't be educated in Spanish. Oh my God, that is disgusting. They've got to be educated in Spanish. Our Spanish. By enforcing compliance to a national curricula, we can foster a new generation of children to identify more directly with the Colombian state. A more Spanish, if I may. So we can get some research points, gain some consciousness. Oh, we lose -2. Huh. That lasts 3 years? I'll just take the consciousness. Interesting word. We still have not gotten that event though, so maybe I'm a liar and it doesn't actually happen. Minority of building restrictions in our effort to assimilate our Central American provinces into the Colombian state. Bright minds within our administration have come up with an idea to restrict the rights of the Central American minority and others to construct buildings and own land. While this measure will be extremely unpopular among our minorities, it will most likely hasten the assimilation process. I thought I said no to the assimilation process. Do we want to implement the building restrictions? Sure. Let's get some militancy. That's always nice to have a little militancy in the morning or the afternoon, whatever time it is when you're watching this. Fill in the blank. So we're going to be waiting around a little bit. We also still have not gotten that beautiful event, so maybe I am lying and we don't actually get it ever. That would actually be really unfortunate because that would hinder a lot of things that I want to do. Let's look around. Ecuador, Venezuela, no new alliances. Okay, Brazil, we need you. We need you on our side. Texas is actually, they actually took a Laredo. That's pretty impressive. But there's this event that, always happens. I think this is actually in the base game, this event. But basically when Mexico sieges down any province, they get the Santa Anna event where I think General Santa Anna is taken captive and they get this really horrible treaty. The Texans defend themselves because they capture their leader, the Mexican leader. And they get off scot-free. And then they join the United States of America. Awesome. So we still have not gotten the event. If you're wondering what the event is, we actually get gold in Medellin. Medellin, as the Colombians would say. I don't know why they pronounce the double L as a J, but a lot of Spanish countries do that. I don't know which, but they, like just a Y sound becomes a J, or like a JY. I don't really know exactly what it is, but it's pretty interesting. Okay, so Brazil. Oh, we can ally you. You are at war with Rio Grande do Sul. not that big of a deal. I don't know if they'll call us into the war, but yeah, we will ally you, and that'll be fine. We'll also increase relations just a tad so we can hopefully call them into a war when that happens with Venezuela and Ecuador. But yeah, apparently this event is just not. Oh, there we go. Gold Rush in Medellin. Normally it happens much faster. Normally, like in the first 2 months, but this took a year and a half. Okay, so what happens? Well, we find gold in Medellin. I believe this happens with any province that finds gold, and basically they get more life rating, which directly correlates with pop growth as long as it's above 30, and it also gets immigrant attraction. But gold is just awesome. I don't think there's any anti-inflation events or mechanics in Victoria 2. So gold is just the most precious resource in this mod since money is so hard to come by. And look, we're already making 15 ducats, not ducats, that's Europa. Pounds. Yeah, pounds. It's British pound, I think. We're making a lot of money now. Oh, we also get the immigrant attraction, which affects Colombia itself. So immigrants are going to be more likely to choose us as their place of safe haven, which we're not even getting many immigrants right now. Hopefully we start getting some. Oh, there we go. 28. Mexico is actually getting immigrants, which I don't like because normally they don't get any. Normally they stay. I don't. They are a presidential dictatorship, so it's interesting to me why they're actually getting any immigrants at all. Okay. So, all right, we're gonna go with full-on education spending. We're gonna actually start encouraging intellectuals because we need to get some research points right away. Oh, Venezuela just allied. Oh man, that that's sort of good, but at the same time, it's kind of actually. Well, they're only allied with the FRCA, which frankly doesn't really matter. I mean, 3 brigades is nothing to be scared of. If we can get I really wish I could see the willingness of our allies to join a hypothetical war versus Venezuela. Um, because I don't know, we're going to have to justify a war. We're going to justify make puppet, which only takes 10 infamy if we get caught. I'm going to want to, hopefully, I mean, we're going to need them on our side. Because if they mobilize, they're going to be able to just help us siege down. It's not really going to be a war of fighting different troops because there's not enough pops down here. It's more going to be a war of sieging down provinces. And the AI, honestly, is just very easy to outsmart. So, oh yes, we should start building some troops. So, cavalry, we already have a cavalry unit, but you would think if you were looking at the stats that Dragoon would be the best cavalry unit because it has the best attack and maneuver, but pretty much you want hussars or hussars, however you say that, because they have 2 reconnaissance, that stat right there, and all the other ones, this one that we have actually has 1 or 0. Cavalry units have 1, dragoons have 1. And reconnaissance basically affects how fast you siege down provinces. So it's pretty important. It's actually very important. I would rather have that than like 1 attack or 1 defense because that doesn't really win you battles. Um, Maneuver is pretty good though, but I would still rather have one reconnaissance, or 1 more reconnaissance, especially 1 reconnaissance over 0. It just makes sieging down provinces faster, which is really important. So we're gonna keep going on here. I don't have a timer set. I gotta remind myself for the next episode to actually set a timer because I don't know how long I've been recording, but I also don't know how long I want the episodes to be. Perhaps 25 minutes, 30, 30 minutes, 20 minutes. I don't know. We'll see. We haven't really done much so far, but soon, soon we will. I might want to fund military spending. This affects the officer promotion growth and soldier promotion growth. So if you want more soldiers sort of passively, then you want to raise your military spending because it um, basically sets the population trend towards 5% soldiers and 0.2% officers. And I think 5% is basically the cutoff point where you can't get any more soldiers, and zero point 0.2 officers is also the cutoff point, I believe. Right now we have 0.12. Officers affect leadership, which is how fast you need 20 leadership to get a general or an admiral. We'll create a general because we need generals. Right now we have one okay general. I don't know what the morale stat affects. I should really look up the stats and what they affect. I know education, not education. Experience is important. It affects basically how many troops your troops kill and how many troops your troops lose. How many soldiers your troops can kill and how many of your soldiers die. That was okay. That's a terrible way of explaining it, but hopefully you understand what I mean. Peru, what are you asking us for access? Because you are at war with Chile and Brazil. Well, thankfully, Brazil won't actually get mad at us for saying yes, so we'll just say yes. Also, Coronation of Queen Victoria, I have actually not ever played as the UK because it just seems like it would be boring and very much a hassle because there aren't a lot of good like it's annoying playing a large empire like the UK, especially one with a lot of islands because it's just so annoying to keep track of everything, expanding naval bases and railroads and whatnot. So yeah, I have never played as the UK, but I don't really know what the coronation of Queen Victoria does. I do know that Hanover starts in the sphere of the British, but then with this event, it leaves the British sphere and they actually become opposed. So basically, Prussia is able to swoop in and take Hanover. Also, France, Ottomans, there's a lot of wars that go on over here. Um, Let me click OK. Also, oh, one thing to note, if you see me click the newspaper button right here, I never look at them because they are very bland. When you first, they're very, very, very bland. Okay, let me make that clear. Um, when you first start out, it seems sort of interesting, but after you actually read them, it's basically the same sort of thing, and there's not a lot of interesting language here. And there are a lot of mistakes as well. So I click the ones I haven't seen because I don't like seeing a number here other than 0. It just aches me, you know, to see that. I also did not build the army that I intended to build. So we already have a cavalry unit, and I don't want to. Well, should I replace it? Hmm. I did say it was very important, but we're not really going to be sweeping over these nations. Well, attrition is going to be important. Yeah, okay. Well, we will get rid of this guy, Crucier, especially since I don't have to say the name anymore, so that'll be good. Can we build? Okay. I was worried that we lost the soldier pops for some reason, um, but we didn't. Oh yeah, but as I was saying, the Ottomans and Egypt, they have a lot of interesting events. It's pretty hard to win as Egypt, I think. Um, well, it's not impossible. It is sort of difficult though. I've played as Egypt like once, and I don't really remember how that went. But yeah, look at Mexico. I mean, it's hard to imagine Mexico like that today. But they really did have an insane amount of land. I mean, the United States took all of this, slurped it up from Mexico. You know, they would have had, well, the oil was like right here. I was gonna say they would have had oil here in Texas. I guess if they had won the war against Texas, that would have happened. Um, there's oil in California though, and actually California is a pretty big, important state right now. It probably would have been if been too in Mexico if Mexico had kept the state, but obviously they didn't, so we'll never know. All right, artillery and cavalry have finished. Okay, I'm gonna alt tab here. Sorry if that makes it really, really ugly. It's actually been 30 minutes. Okay, well, time flies by fast when you're going through time fast. So I'm gonna end the episode here. Hopefully you enjoyed this first episode. I certainly did. Not as much as the first time I actually recorded it because I was actually really excited then, and then, Windows 10 was like, nope, can't be excited about anything. Here you go, here's an update, let's just... the file actually was still there. I thought it just wouldn't save at all because I was recording while it just restarted me out of the blue, and it just doesn't even open. I don't really know. I was hoping I could salvage it somehow, but yeah, that wasn't able to happen, so I just deleted it, and now we have this episode, but hopefully you like this episode. Anyways, I'm going to go. I have had a wonderful time. Hopefully you have too. This has been Raven. See ya later.